Trading Rubles by www.profitabletradingtips.com. Can you make money in the Forex market trading rubles? You could have made money trading the Russian currency if you sold it at virtually any time in the last 2 years. The ruble was trading at about 33 to the US dollar 2 years ago and 35 to the dollar a year ago. Now it takes 65 rubles or more to get a dollar. Why are the fundamentals that are driving the value of the ruble down? Seeking Alpha analyzes why the Russian ruble is weakening. Industrial production in Russia slowed in recent months. Meanwhile, both economic growth and inflation measures have been adversely affected by declining energy prices, as well as geopolitical conflict with Ukraine. As Russian policymakers attempt to right their troubles, the ruble should continue to depreciate against more stable currencies such as the US dollar. The geopolitical conflict is Russian annexation of Crimea, a part of neighboring Ukraine, and support of separatists set on carving out a Russian-speaking sector in a large area of southeastern Ukraine. The European Union and the United States of America are steadily ramping up sanctions that have cut off credit to Russian industry and especially the oil sector. And the price of crude oil has fallen by half in the last 7 months. Since Russia gains the most hard currency by exporting oil, this is a disaster. Trading rubles. The best play for a year or more has been to sell rubles or to purchase puts on a ruble US dollar contract. The point being that the trader pays a fee for the right to sell rubles at the contract price, even when the ruble continues to fall over the next few months. When trading rubles, wheat, or APPL stock, traders know that there is typically a turnaround point at which it is profitable to start buying a beaten-down asset. Will this occur with the ruble, and if so, when? Reading the mind of Mr. Putin. Vladimir Putin is the president of the Russian Federation. He is an ex-colonel of the KGB. Mr. Putin firmly believes that the breakup of the deteriorating USSR was the worst disaster ever to befall Russia. This comes from a man who certainly knows of the 30 million Russian dead in World War II. Mr. Putin became disturbed when Ukraine threw out a corrupt president who was Russia's friend and elected a man who promised a greater alliance with the European Union. Right now, Crimea is Russia's, and Russian soldiers fight in Ukraine as volunteers. The USA and European Union are continually ramping up sanctions, and the US president is threatening to provide state-of-the-art defensive heavy weaponry to the Ukrainians. None of this is any help to the value of the ruble. Peace and more expensive oil are the only solutions for Mr. Putin if he wants the ruble to recover. Bloomberg reports that the ruble rallies for a second day based on a tenuous ceasefire between Ukrainian forces and separatist Russian soldiers and higher oil prices. The ruble rose for a second day and bonds climbed as oil traded above $60 per barrel, and fighting in Ukraine subsided following a ceasefire agreement. The ruble strengthened the most against the dollar among emerging market currencies on Monday, and government ruble bonds advanced for a 4th day. The increases came even after the European Union expanded its Ukraine blacklist to include a deputy Russian defense minister. Brent crude's advance took its 3-day gain to 14%. If the ceasefire holds and peace breaks out, it could lead to a little ruble recovery. However, the global economy and demand for oil are not strong. The Saudis are holding production high for fear of losing customers to a recovering U.S. oil sector. What does Putin want? Considering that Russian President Putin believes that the fall of the USSR was the worst disaster to befall Russia, it should not be a surprise that Putin wants to turn the clock back. An article in CNN addresses the issue of what does Putin really want. For Putin, this crisis is only the latest in a catalog of grievances, which includes the West trampling over Russia's interests from Kosovo to Iraq to Libya and Syria. Putin's ultimate goal may be to tear up the post-Soviet assumptions about what Russia will tolerate and permanently change Russia's relationship with the West. If this is how things are going to go, the ruble will continue to fall and a new Cold War will emerge. If that is the case, trading the ruble will be a sad joke. For more insights and useful information about trading foreign currencies, stocks, or commodities, visit www.profitabletradingtips.com.